President Trump has some brand new lawyers for his impeachment trial that's going to be coming up, and they've already issued a response to the 8 different charges under the incitement of an insurrection charge that he'll be facing in the Senate starting Monday. And we've also kind of got a glimpse into the end game, because the Democrats are starting to realize that that Trump being convicted in the Senate is about as likely as a young child not having to repress a memory if left alone to be babysat in the current Oval Office. So let's go over his new legal team, shall we? Kicking off the proceedings is former Montgomery County District Attorney Bruce L. Castor, from Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. There's 2 lawyers that are prominent and have signed the response article, and the other guy's from Alabama. He has some quote-unquote nefarious ties, and for just discretionary purposes, we'll go through him once he comes up. But yes, Castor was elected district attorney for Pennsylvania's 3rd most populated county, decided against charging Bill Cosby in a 2004 sexual encounter. Funny how somebody a prosecutor that is, would not want to charge somebody without a lack of evidence and just a bunch of hearsay. But another story for another time, of course. He ran for the job again in 2015, and his judgment in the Cosby case was a key issue used against him by the Democrats, who defeated him. Of course, because, that bad man, he didn't go after somebody who may or may not have done something 30, 40 years ago at this point. Listen, do I think Bill Cosby's a creep? Potentially. Do I think it's even creepier to come out with allegations decades later? Yeah, I think that's a little bit sus. Castor has said that he personally thought Cosby should have been arrested, but the evidence wasn't strong enough to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt. I like this guy. He bases all of his opinions in facts and logic, something that Democrats really hate. In 2004, Castor ran for state attorney general unsuccessfully. Aw, shucks. In 2016, he became the top lieutenant to the state's embattled Attorney General, Kathleen Kane, a Democrat. As she faced charges of leaking protected investigative information to smear a rival and lying to a grand jury about it. So actually committing a crime. Perjury, that is. And it's not like a Democrat to smear anybody, especially somebody they're running against. That's weird. She was convicted, and Castor was actually the acting attorney general for a couple of days. Good for him. Looks like a lawyer. I don't know. Don't have anything against him. I just pulled up a left-wing source. This is a Philadelphia affiliate for ABC, and yeah, of course they're going to have a little bit of a slant to it. I could have picked up something that was a glowing endorsement. There's some lawmakers in Pennsylvania that think that this dude is really fucking legit and is a great choice, but we'll take the most uncharitable interpretation of him and David Schoen's skills. David Schoen met with financier Jeffrey Epstein about joining his defense team on sex trafficking charges just days before Epstein, now they say he killed himself in a New York jail. And he also didn't represent Jeffrey Epstein, but wait for that to come up, Wait for that to come up at some point by some hack over the course of this trial. I guarantee it. We'll see that name again. And all you need to do is just say Bill Clinton flew with Epstein 26 times on the Lolita Express. I haven't even flown 26 times, let alone with the same person. Scowan also said he had been approached by Trump's associate Roger Stone before Stone's trial about being a part of a team that he was later retained to handle his appeal. Now that's another set of litigation that is completely bonkers, because they tried really hard to throw a 76-year-old man into jail during COVID because he misremembered some details about stuff that happened a long time ago that was rather inconsequential to the entire case, which is exactly the type of stuff that Carter Page just had to go through as well, and how that case ended up is a perfect example of how corrupt the justice system truly is. And Scowan maintained in the interview that the case against Stone was very unfair and politicized. Yeah, they also sent a SWAT team to his house in the middle of the night in order to get him. He's a fucking mid-70s-year-old man with a big Richard Nixon tattoo on his back. He's fucking insane, But did it require a SWAT team and CNN coverage that they were tipped off that the FBI was going to be raiding his house, so they had to be outside waiting to get the shot? A little weird, But as you can see, Castor obviously comes highly recommended, based on some of the other sources that are out there. Very well respected, did his job very well. Like him or not with what he did about Bill Cosby, one fucking case does not make an entire career, unless you're Michael Avenatti. And then Scowan here comes from Alabama, has a relationship with Roger Stone, which isn't as lockstep with Trump as some people are led to believe. They weren't as tight as Stone also likes to admit as well. More or less one of those guys that was kind of in the boundary of the inner circle, but not, direct line to the White House. But first and foremost, I like this team a lot better than the first one that was out there, because those were just Lindsey Graham's guys that just came in. And the big thing coming out of the fact that that team split off from Trump and Trump is going with these two guys here is because Lindsey Graham, the Nikki Haley surrogates that were going to represent Trump during the trial, didn't want to bring up any of the fraud allegations. Okay, they just wanted to stick strictly to how unconstitutional the impeachment is. There's no real concrete evidence of this, but that's what some sources have said. So I'd be likely to engage with that explanation based on the response that was just filed to this. One last point on the lawyers themselves. It's clear that since Trump has been taken out of Washington, he's had a time to clear his head. He's had a time to reassess who's around him. He has a team of people around him who are much more concerned about what he wants to do and his next few steps, as opposed to having a bunch of people in his ear who only want to push their agenda. It's like if you're really focused on something at work, you take some time, you just put it away for a minute, and then maybe you come back to it towards the end of the day after, have lunch, after you have a drink of water. You just get a fresh set of eyes on it, and then you come back to the situation and you see it in a completely different light. That's what this speaks about. I could just be reading into it a little bit too much, but that's just kind of what it seems like to me. So let's get into the response here. So I got it pulled down just a little bit because it's a 14-page document, and as you can see here, it goes through every point step by step with a very long and drawn-out explanation as to why, because it's a legal document. These are very important proceedings. This is the first time in a very, very, very long time since anything's come up to the Senate in regards to impeachment. So you gotta line up your one shot here and take it perfectly, and it's quite good. It's quite good. And yes, there's a response to the 8 different averments, which are a part of the House impeaching President Trump on inciting an insurrection. So there's 8 different averments here. They need to be sectioned out properly and need to be responded to in kind on each and every specific detail. And likewise, when the Senate votes to either commit or to convict or acquit, they will have to vote on all 8 of these. Theoretically, it should all just be the 55 to 45 vote when it's all said and done, but these are their proceedings, and it's a little bit goofy. I'll link this in the description below as always, but we'll just go over the very summarized version of each averment. So for number 1, the Senate in the United States lacks jurisdiction over the 45th president because he holds no public office, which he cannot be removed, and the Constitution limits the authority of the Senate in case of impeachment to removal of office as a prerequisite active remedy allowed the Senate under our Constitution. Yeah, how can you impeach somebody who no longer holds public office? Yeah, it should probably just end there, but we continue. The Senate of the United States lacks jurisdiction over the 45th president because he holds no public office for which he can be removed, rendering the article of impeachment moot and non-justiciable question. That's a word. Yeah, as you can see, the different averments require sometimes the same explanation. It just goes to show you how redundant the government is, even in the exceptional cases. Should the Senate act on the article of impeachment initiated in the House of Representatives, it will have passed a bill of attainder in violation of Article 1, Section 9, Clause 3 of the United States Constitution. A bill of attainder. Okay, you may or may not have heard of that phrase before. What that means is a piece of legislation that is passed in order to prosecutors punish somebody under brand new circumstances. If the law is written and what you're charging somebody with, they don't fit the criteria of, if you convict them, you're passing a bill of attainder. It's not legal, but it would be consistent with the Democrats. Article of impeachment misconstrues protected speech and fails to meet the constitutional standard for any impeachable offense. Yeah, it goes over that in more detail up top, but at the same time when he said peacefully and patriotically protest outside the Capitol building, and if you guys don't fight like hell, there won't be a country anymore. Yeah, none of that's incitement to violence. Hate to break it to y'all. House of Representatives deprived the 45th president of due process and law in rushing this article of impeachment by ignoring its own procedures and proceeding to go back to a mid-19th century. Just a little shot there, but yeah, within 8 hours, the articles were delivered to the House and they were voted on and Trump was convicted. Fucking what? You're supposed to have a trial. You're supposed to hear both sides of it, but Nancy Pelosi just decided, I got the votes for it, so I can just go ahead and do that. They're evil people. also cite a lack of due process in this, which totally makes sense. No exigent circumstances under the law would present excusing the House of Representatives' rush to judgment. Another nice little shot. The actions by the House make it clear that the opinion of the 45th President does not enjoy the protections of liberty upon this great nation was founded, where free speech and, indeed, free political speech form the backbone of all American liberties. Ooh, that's a good one. None of the traditional reasonings permitting the government to act in such haste, exigent circumstances were present. The House had no reason to rush its proceedings, disregarding its own precedents and procedures, engage in a zero committee or other investigation, and fail to grant the accused his opportunity to be heard in person or through counsel, as basic tenets of due process of law. It just completely continues to shit kick that fifth averment, the fact that it was an expedited trial when it need not be. Number 6, the article of impeachment violates the 45th President a right to free speech through the guaranteed in the First Amendment. You know that one that you guys hate oh so very much? Yeah, that one there. They're already trying to take it away with different terms of service, as you know, through different platforms and their various microphones that they have control of. Or is it the other way around? That's tough to say. I'd listen to both sides of that argument. But again, there's this great thing called the Constitution, and sometimes you do have to stare back at it. Can't just be like the Supreme Court who's hiding at all times, like Justice Roberts is during this one. He's supposed to preside over this, but he's found a way to weasel himself out of it. Number 7 is a big one. The article is constitutionally flawed in that it charges multiple instances of allegedly impeachable conduct in a single article. Oh, so you remember how all of those baseless lawsuits were thrown out because, they were so poorly worded and there's no evidence there whatsoever. Well, turnabout's fair play, cocksuckers. Multiple instances of allegedly impeachable conduct in a single article. Looks like you guys fucked up in the hastily drafting of these articles of impeachment. Sucks to be you. The House charge fails by interweaving different allegations rather than breaking them out into accounts of alleged individual instance of misconduct. Rule 23 of the Rules of Procedures in and Practice in the Senate, where sitting on impeachable trials, provides in pertinent part that an article of impeachment shall not be divisible thereon. Because the article at issue here alleges multiple wrongs in a single article, it would be impossible to know if 2/3 of the members agreed on the entire article, or just in parts, as the basis of a vote to convict. Now, to be fair, okay, in a criminal court, in a civil court, there's a thing called beyond a reasonable doubt, okay? In order to be convicted in a criminal court, you need to be able to present your case beyond a reasonable doubt, because that's a good and just way to run your criminal system. That does not apply to the House or the Senate during these specific types of trials. Hence why the House and those idiotic Democrats would have drafted both different instances of what they believe to be inciting violence, violent speech, as it were, to be in one article, trying to claim that the entire speech is one article. Now, some House members might have thought that fight like hell is objectionable, but then at the same time saying peacefully and patriotically protest is not objectionable. But at the same time, those could be flip reversed, or somebody could believe both of those are incitement to violence because they're functionally retarded and shouldn't be elected members of Congress. But with that said, there's just another instance of, lazy and hastily putting stuff together, like having typos in the first few pages of your fucking important election contests. Dumbasses. Anywho, such behavior on the part of the House of Representatives may have a less than nefarious reason in the alternative, and simply by the byproduct of the haste in which the House unnecessarily acted while depriving the 45th President of the United States of America right to due process of law. Exactly. And finally, yes, the Chief Justice of the United States is not set to preside over the proceedings contemplated by the Senate, as he would be constitutionally required to do if the House was seeking to have the President removed from office under Article 1, Section 3, Clause 6 of the United States Constitution. Once the 45th President's term expired, and the House chose to allow jurisdiction to lapse on the article of impeachment, the constitutional mandate for the Chief Justice to preside at all impeachments involving the President evidently disappeared, and he was replaced by a partisan senator who just got out of the hospital, who purportedly also act as a juror Yes, because his vote will matter during this, which is baffling to say the least. It's like you're being presided over by Judge Dredd. The House actions thus were designated to ensure that Chief Justice John Roberts would not preside over the proceedings, which effectively created an additional appearance of bias, with the proceedings now being supervised by a partisan member of the Senate with a long history of public remarks adverse to the 45th president. Yeah. Another reason why this entire thing is just an exercise in Democratic governmental overreach. Because let's be honest, okay? What are you supposed to use an impeachment for? You're supposed to use an impeachment to get somebody out of office who has committed bribery, treason, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. Okay, you need not use impeachment as a tool that has been weaponized by you guys if the dude is leaving office in 2 weeks' time. Okay? I think sensible people understand that, okay? You could just say that his actions were wrong and go on your entire tirade like you absolutely did and stand at your pulpit and cry little crocodile tears, or continue to be like AOC and think that the world is falling around you and she's just becoming more and more of a tinfoil hat loon as the days go on. Listen, she went on a live stream again last night, and I'm not going to cover it because I don't find her interesting, compelling, or remotely intelligent, okay? I cover her when she does something exceptionally egregious, and this is just more of that doubling down. I thought I was gonna die. Oh no, everybody's coming to get me. And I've seen a couple more articles pop up as well that she's doing more interviews, and they just keep getting more and more unhinged. And this is all in the lead up to this Senate trial that's coming up for Donald Trump once again. They're just trying to remind you how bad Trump is, okay? He's been out of office for, what, by the time that this rolls around, a few weeks. Okay, everybody's just kind of realizing that, Biden's really just making sure that the economy never gets started again. He loves himself some racist doctrine, and he can't even put a pen in his suit jacket pocket. Fuck, we might have made a mistake here. But no, they need to stoke the fires of, hey, you remember the Capitol Hill riots? Let's just continue to throw coal on that fire. Let's douse it in a little gasoline as the days close out on this week. And we'll give some more primetime cable news time, because let's be honest, AOC's attractive for a congresswoman. Out in the real world, let's be honest, maybe 6 is a little bit of a generous number. With that said, what is their end game? Because the Democrats know that they don't have the votes. This is just going to be an exercise of getting a bunch of very old men and women together in a room that's probably nice, and the seats are probably fairly comfortable. It might be an opportunity for people to see their friends and shake hands, or not shake hands anymore. Well, probably on the Republican side, and some of them have some spine, but it's all to just lead to the end game of never allowing Donald Trump to rise up again, or to set the standard that if anybody wants to follow that mold once again, they will face this treatment, okay? Because eventually somebody's going to rise. If it's in 2024 again, if it's Trump again, terrific, wonderful. I'm looking forward to that. If it's, let's just say Hawley, he's on the screen there in the corner. If he comes down in a couple of cycles and he's still steadfast in his convictions, terrific. He just knows what he's going to be facing. You got to come in all guns blazing. All you're going to have is one term as the president before the Spurgs on the other side just pull out all of the guns and all of the long knives. If they want to use Nazi imagery, why not I? And take you out at the knees at the 3.5 year cycle of the first term. Like, honestly, that's all you're going to get. But enough about that. Here is the ultimate end game, okay? Because it used to be, okay, get him convicted in the Senate. Enough people will be still so hot about that day that was just as bad as 9/11. Oh my God. People came in and died of a heart attack. Therefore, terrorism. Get the 67 votes in the Senate needed, and then it would just require a simple majority to bar Trump for ever holding office again. But the Democrats think that they have a way around this. Schumer says Dems could censure Trump if impeachment trial ends in acquittal. Interesting how the Democrats could censure somebody who's not in their party, but leave it up to the connivers in charge to figure out something to do here. According to old Chucky there, I think the president should be tried, and I hope he will be convicted. Anything past that is something we can discuss, but he deserves conviction, nothing less. He's still all worked up about Trump inciting that erection. Trump's conviction on a single count of incitement of insurrection is considered a long shot after just 5 Republicans voted in favor of the proceeding with the trial. GOP leaders, including Senate Mitch McConnell of Kentucky, who, while he's not calling out Marjorie Taylor Greene for being a nutter, which is another story for another time. Nobody likes Mitch McConnell, and nobody really takes him seriously except for the Sunday morning cable news crowd. But anyways, have raised questions about the constitutionality of impeaching a former president, even after they condemned Trump's role in the January 6th riot at the Capitol. They just really wish that they would have had a picture of the chambers on fire, nothing more than just that super happy motherfucker from Florida just carrying the speaker's podium. Never got it out of the premises, by the way. But here's the endgame. If the Senate achieves the 67 vote threshold required to convict Trump, a single majority vote could bar the former president for holding political office in the future. Democrats have already signaled they plan to support the second vote if the first one passes. No! Thanks, Fox. You guys do some real good work. A censure would function as a non-binding public rebuke of Trump's actions. Yes, everybody who has voted, at least in the in the Republican Party, to go ahead with impeachment, at least prominently Liz Cheney, who we've covered here, has been censured by their state GOP, which is kind of weird how the Democrats could go ahead and try to censure Trump, and it wouldn't really do anything, really. It would just say, oh, you were a bad man, we don't like you anymore. And that's what the establishment's been saying anyway, so whoop-de-fucking-do. Guess you just get it in writing now. Get something to hang up on your wall. Congressional lawmakers lack the legal authority to otherwise reprimand Trump if the trial falls short of a conviction. Lawmakers in favor of the censure include former prospective Vice President Tim Kaine, who ran with Hillary, and Senator Susan Collins, Democrat from Maine. I know what I said. Have suggested it could be coupled with the 14th Amendment to block Trump from holding office in the future. However, the legality of that assertion has yet to be determined. As you can see, that's their next play after this show trial concludes in the Senate. They're going to try to find a way to block Trump after he's been acquitted in the Senate. It'll involve some perverse reading of the 14th Amendment and then try to get the GOP to censure him, because what good would the Democrats... Oh, the DNC censures Donald Trump. Well, he had no reason to seek their approval anyway, so... And just because Susan Collins thinks that it's a good idea, and presumably the 4 other retards that are going to be voting to convict Trump, that doesn't make the entire party. And them just sitting back there scowling at him doesn't really fucking do anything. So I'm going to be interested how this is going to continue, because you goddamn bet how much free rent Trump has in all of their heads. They're going to be stewing on this for the next 2 years and figuring out a way to stop him. Because once all of the primaries conclude and they realize that, oh my god, MAGA is really not going to be going anywhere and this whole populist revolt is real and we got to do something about it, they're going to find a way. Now, they're going to try some underhanded shit. They got away with something like that once, and sure as fuck going to be trying it again, especially with the majorities in both the House and the Senate, and Biden will do whatever's put in front of him. Because as he was caught on a hot mic, I don't know what I'm signing. So yeah, all this stuff kicks off on Monday. Expect more Trump smear pieces in the near future, because they're going to need to reignite that bright orange flame from the Capitol Hill riots in everybody's mind again. Nobody will care. But with that said, I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.